How do I, 31M, decide if I should end a stable later, 37M, for the chance to be happier? I, 31M, have been in a relationship with my partner, 37M, for over 12 years. He is my closest friend, and the deepest relationship I've ever had with another person. Together, we've formed over a decade of memories, in jokes, and molded each other's personalities as we've aged together. We've supported each other enormously, and worked through problems and infidelity in the past, and found boundaries that worked for both of us. I can honestly say I love him, he loves me, and my life wouldn't be where it is without him. However, I am not always happy. We have very different sex drives and desires, levels of needness, and ways of spending our free time. Given we've been together for a long time, these issues have settled into the way we are, and we live with the compromises. He's very laid back, and most of the compromises are in his favor. For example, less sex and variety, a less neat house, and less activities in our free time. These occasionally bubble into frustration and conversations, but mostly they're just ingrained in how we live now. He is happy with his life, and the way things are, and is far more content than I am. In working through some infidelity issues on his part over the last 5 years, and our different sex drives and desires, we mutually agreed to have an open relationship. This has worked well for us. It's enormously increased trust and communication, because we no longer hide anything, and has given us both options, albeit very infrequent, to explore our desires. I have a friend who I am very compatible with, and we've gotten on well for a couple of years. Chatting as close friends, we've found we're very similar in terms of our aspirations and things we enjoy. We're both attracted to each other sexually, and despite my partner's insistence it would be okay for the friend and I to have casual sex, we haven't taken it anywhere to avoid complicated feelings, as neither of us thinks we could keep it casual. My partner and I's relationship and circumstances are safe, stable and, if unchanged, would likely continue for the rest of our lives. However, after 12 years and many compromises, I know I am not contentedly happy. When I'm with my friend, I find myself smiling more, and feeling a sense of relief I can't quite understand, that I don't have when I'm at home. And while I don't want to leave and immediately date my friend, it's given me a taste that I possibly could be happier in another relationship or on my own. How do I objectively approach the gamble of ending the closest, deepest relationship I have in my life, for the unknown chance of being happier or building a relationship with less compromise? I am terrified of throwing away a connection I might never get again for a happiness that doesn't last, but at the same time, that I will get too old to start again, and that I could have been living with each day being a little happier. Too long didn't read, in a long-term relationship that is stable, loving and safe, but with compromises that weigh on my happiness. I've found that I am sometimes happier with other people. How do I decide if I should end the relationship for the chance at being happier? My take is that you've grown into your own. You two started when you were a mere babe of 19 years old. He was 25. Very different life stages, though the age gap isn't that large. In your telling us the progression of your current relationship, it seems most of the adjustments to make it work have all focused around his preferences, actions. I don't mean this in a malicious way, but just apparently how this particular relationship has evolved. It's quite telling that he's the low libido one, but the necessity to open the relationship has been due to his infidelities. It just seems like you have been the one doing the most compromising, if you will. Now that you have gotten older with more life experience, you are noticing the nuances of need, wants, and desires of a more fine-tuned idea of what you want to feel in a relationship. I like how you have recognized that your friend isn't the solution but an example of what that new sense of relationship might look like. Get the sense that the current one that you are in has met its conclusion in terms of personal growth. Your posting is perhaps making peace with that and giving yourself permission to end it and explore what other options are out there for you. Another thing to consider is that you haven't been single once as an adult. Perhaps this is something you should experience as well. Get yourself your own apartment and enjoy just being you and finding out what that feels like as you adjust to singlehood after the breakup. Whatever you decide, good luck. From my experience, that desire to be with someone else. There doesn't even have to be a specific someone, it could be that exact thought you're having, that maybe there is something better, comes from you not having your needs met. I think given your memories and connection it is worth trying to work on this some more. Tell your partner that these compromises aren't working, that you feel like your boundaries are being pushed too much. If this is worth staying in, he will listen and you will work together to reshift the compromises. Because no relationship is ever perpetually stable. People and circumstances change, and so it will always require communicating and working at it to keep things balanced. If he refuses to change or says he will try, and he does for a while, but then slips back into old routines, then let it go. I made the mistake of staying too long in a relationship where I kept being promised he would try to meet my needs but was only listening on the surface level. There was no long-term change and I felt the way you did for way too long. It ended up being 5 years before I ended it, but not long after I found someone who I connected with even deeper and liked even more. Good luck. Thank you for sharing your experience, and I'm glad that it worked out well. We always do slip back into the same routine, so I think from what you've said, that's very telling of our relationship's inability to move forward. To me it seems like you have two options. Option 1, stay in this relationship with your partner and stay not happy for God knows how long. Option 2, take a leap of faith and explore yourself. If you've been in this relationship since you were 19, you never had a chance to explore who you really are. Take some time to yourself. Maybe go on a vacation by yourself and see how you feel. You don't need to be in a relationship to be happy, and maybe you will be happy without one. There's probably more options than that, but those are the most obvious. Definitely think about it. Normally I advise against leaving a stable relationship for the what if of greener grass, because often people are just chasing that new relationship spark because they're bored. However, that doesn't really sound like the case to me from what you wrote. There's a lot to be said for the contentment of a stable relationship, but you don't even describe yourself as content. It sounds more like you are accustomed to the relationship you have. I don't doubt that you two love each other, and long-term relationships shouldn't be expected to be all fireworks and excitement, but the fact that you feel relief when you're not at home is telling. Most of the good things you describe about your relationship are past-based, what you two have built over the years and how you have helped each other grow. Those are wonderful things, but know that they're not being thrown away if you do decide to end the relationship. You will still have gone through all those changes together, and that time will still have been valuable. I won't tell you which way to go, but I will say that this isn't a situation where I'm going to strongly advise that you water the grass where it is now, because it sounds like you have done that and still have doubts. And my friend, you are only 31. I'm your age and dating in the past year has been the best of my life. You are certainly not too old to start again, and I hope you don't let that hold you back. It might just be the idea of being in a new relationship. Would be willing to bet that at the beginning of your relationship with your current partner that you felt the same way too. You know everything about your current partner now. As close as you are with your friend, you still don't 100% know them, and your brain fills in gaps, which helps to idealize how great a relationship would be with them. So I would caution against thinking things like, this new relationship would require less compromise. I'm 100% on board with making the best of each day and being happy in life. Does your current relationship feel peaceful and welcoming? Are you just bored with it or with him? If your partner came home today from work and wanted to spontaneously have a weekend getaway alone with you, would you feel excited about going, or would you dread having to go and spend time with them? Is everything else good outside of your sexual frustrations with him? You pointed out that you don't have the same interests, but do you still pursue your own interests by yourself or with friends, or because he isn't interested do you just not do them? If you are doing things outside of the relationship that you enjoy and you still are feeling very blah and not happy with your current relationship, I would look hard at ways you could try to improve your current relationship. Have you communicated that you are feeling less excited about it to him? I would really caution against leaving this relationship to jump into another. If you do choose to end things with him, my advice would be to take time alone. Live on your own and don't date, just get to know you again. Take a year or two before you start looking for anything serious, even with this other friend. My 29F BF, 30M, has been dropping hints he doesn't want a future with me. Should I just quietly leave? Update, thank you everyone for the kind words and advice. I wish I could reply to everyone, but I'm too emotionally and mentally tired. We had a discussion a few hours ago where I confronted him about it. It led to me reacting hysterically a little when we were talking about how he let his parents snub me when they met me, ignoring me and making some comments in Hindi, then looking at me and giggling. He tried to defend them, but I've had enough. He said he loves me, but it's easier for him to not go against his family. I've never been so heartbroken in my life. I always hoped that he loves me enough to stand up for me. It's over and my chest feels so heavy and I feel sick to my stomach. I think I'll need a lot of time to process my emotions and take care of myself. Again, thank you everyone for the wake-up call. Smile. We've been together for 4 years. I love him very much and I don't doubt that he feels the same way. He's a good partner and we have good communication going on. Our relationship has been smooth sailing except for a few fights every now and then, but it always goes well after an open discussion. The thing is, I only met his family twice. He met mine several times and they all like him and treat him like family. But just from those 2 times, I can tell they do not approve of me. I am a foreigner and not of the same religion. He's Indian and Hindu and I'm Thai, Vietnamese and Catholic. There were a few times when he casually mentioned his parents pushing him to marry a nice Indian girl in the same caste. I'd laugh and ask him if he wants that and he'd say I don't know. When we're also chatting about what are we going to do, hypothetically, in the future, he gets quiet and doesn't engage in the conversation. The biggest hint was dropped last week when he joked about wanting to take the girl his parents will choose for him to some game show to see if he likes her or not. I'm hurt, but I feel so embarrassed and naive. I pictured myself having a future with him, but I think it's clear he wants me out of it. I'm embarrassed to bring it up and I don't know if I should just end our relationship now. I feel like I'm wasting my time. Too long didn't read. My BF of 4 years has been hinting he doesn't see me in his future. His family dislikes me too. Should I just leave now even though our relationship is great? You are saying your relationship is great, but it doesn't sound great at all. I think you need to ask him straight if he wants a future with you. If his response is again I don't know, then you have your answer. I'm so sorry you're going through this. Just imagine how great it will feel to be with a man that you don't have to question. You deserve better. This doesn't seem like a great relationship. He isn't hinting. He's outright saying he doesn't see a future with you by entertaining these things. He's just not confident or brave enough to say it directly. But, indirectly it's painfully obvious. Please don't settle for being someone's backup plan. Ask him straight out if he sees a future for the two of you. If he doesn't, then you have your answer. You can move on. We have good communication going on. When we're also chatting about what are we going to do, hypothetically, in the future, he gets quiet and doesn't engage in the conversation. Honey, you already know what's happening here. If he wanted to be with you forever, you wouldn't have any doubts at all. It hurts, but it's time to cut your losses and move on. My husband's married friends act like I have to earn their approval. I 33F am married to another 33M and his male friend got remarried to a 33F. Whenever my husband and I have group hangouts with them, they act like they put up with me to hang out with my husband, or that they would rather they hang out without me. This may be because when his friend's new wife showed up, my husband went to an event and invited them along. They were hanging out alone, but most days he is with me, his wife obviously. Anyway, so when they wanted to hang out again, I came along as my husband and I are really not together. I guess this dynamic was not something they wanted. His male friend started getting very annoyed that I was in the front seat when we went on a double date. I guess he wanted to sit in my seat. Then I noticed his friend's wife gave my husband a nice drink and turned away, making sure I knew she didn't want to give a drink to me. Then his husband complained and said, I don't like when we get together we act like we are just couples. Which is odd because we are all couples on a double date. One time I was sick and couldn't go anywhere. My husband said, well, my wife is sick. They begged him to come over anyway without me and he asked if it was okay and I said okay, which I now realize I regret. Finally, after a few months, he said to my husband, we just want you over. Then my husband said, that offends me. Then they wanted to talk to me on online messages and explain. They said we don't feel warmed to you and our friendship is at a crossroads. My husband and I haven't seen them since. It seems like you might want to make a friend's wife feel welcome, not act like she needs to impress you. Who do they think they are? They are not even blood related. I know this guy comes from a wealthy family, perhaps he thinks he owns my husband. Why are they acting like I'm doing something wrong just for showing up? What intimate conversations do they wish they were having with my husband without me? What do you make of this? Too long didn't read. My husband's married friends leave me out and only want to hang out with my husband alone. They act like I have nothing to offer them. What do they want with my husband and not with me? Why would someone need to prove themselves to a married couple when they aren't married into it? They make sure I know I'm not being offered a drink. Edit. After hearing everyone's comments, I understand that my husband has something very important to this male friend. For example, my husband helps this friend make his animations really good for school projects that he can't do himself. He may need my husband to help him look better and therefore be more successful. If this was so important to this friend, I would be kissing their wife's feet making sure I was approved of if I needed this person so much. But he isn't like that. He is very aggressively trying to steal him away and turn him against me. It makes me think that this extreme reaction means that he has romantic feelings for my husband, or a sick obsession or emotional thing.